Let me get ready.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back
Oh shit.
to Inside Movies Galore. My name is David Streggy, and here I have in the room with me my good friend from way too long ago. But we will call him Army of One for right now. He will change from time to time, um, from Link
I'm like a
to
chameleon.
various names. But in any case, here we are going to go on about Spider-Man from 2002. The film was directed by Sam Raimi, I believe,
Raimi. Yeah.
who um, and Spider-Man is part of the Marvel franchise. And this film starred Tobey Maguire, William Defoe, Kristen Dunst, and James Franco. Uh, so I'm just going to do a little synopsis of what the movie is about. When bitten by a genetically modified spider, a nerdy, shy, and awkward high school student gains spider like abilities that he eventually must use to fight evil as a superhero after tragedy befalls his family. So, um, Army of One, why don't you tell me about your first experience with this film? Where did you first see Spider-Man?
I first saw Spider-Man in theaters the day it actually came out. I always been a sorry. I've always been a big Spider-Man fan since I was a little Spider-Man myself. Uh but I
So,
seen it in theaters the day it came out, and then like 5 or 6 times after that in theaters. Bought the DVD, reserved, and came out. Actually pre-ordered it. I paid for it before it came out.
okay,
I bought the
and
special edition DVD.
what was your thoughts of the film at the time when the first time you saw it?
When I first saw it, I thought it was absolutely fantastic.
Okay.
But then it was really fantastic when it came out. It
Now,
was our first
what?
decent look at a live action Spider-Man movie.
Okay, and what made it fantastic to you at the time?
Visuals really web slinging, and it looked pretty damn good actually.
Okay, at the time that this came out, I think I saw this in the theaters as well. I That was when I was still going a lot to the theaters and paying money to go see them, instead of having the thought that I eventually had later on in life, where I actually enjoy the home experience more. So I normally don't go to the theater and enjoy it at the theater because it's normally a nuisance and a pain in the ass to watch a movie where no one actually says anything during the theater.
Yeah.
There are often a lot of noisy people uh,
God.
in the
Yeah.
theater. So, but I saw it in the theater, I believe, and I believe.
I had a pretty bad experience watching Matrix second movie. I don't want to get into that. Yeah.
Yeah, theater experiences aren't the greatest as much as they used to be. But in any case, what I remember of the film and it's been a while since I've seen it, but I remember the visuals. It was being really great. I thought that um, I thought that the awkwardness of Tobey Maguire actually worked for the role. Um,
Yeah,
at the time, although I swear to God, I like the awkwardness of the recent Spider-Man more.
Tom Holland.
Yeah, Tom Holland. But we'll get to that because I figured we wanted to go on and talk about these particular Spider-Mans first. Maybe go
Yeah,
into the Amazing Spider-Man and then the Spider-Man Man and the Spider-Man Far From Home. Um, so typically we have a teenager who evidently wants to do a lot for his aunt and his uncle. Wants to look up to. So we have Peter Parker, who is played by Tobey Maguire. What do you think about his character, or what did you think about his character?
the character or the acting of the character.
The character and the acting, the whole ensemble.
Well, I always like Peter Parker as a. On the whole, I like Peter Parker. On the whole, but
Okay.
I'm not really a fan of Tobey Maguire except for Pleasantville, but that's something else. I honestly wish they would have picked someone besides Tobey Maguire to
Like,
play Peter Parker.
who would you have put in that role at that point in time? If
That's tough. That was 2002. How many awkward people were there?
Well, there were a lot of awkward people. It's just a matter of thinking. I mean,
Yeah.
at the time, another child star actor that was growing up was the guy who eventually became Frodo in Lord of the Rings.
Oh,
Do you think that he would
yeah,
have?
Elijah Wood.
Do you think that he would have been a better Spider-Man?
Probably not.
It would have
But
been.
I think a lot of the acting choices were because of Sam Raimi.
Yeah. And Sam Raimi, if anyone remembers, wasn't he the original Evil Dead director?
Yes, and he also directed Hercules and the Xena television series.
Yeah, he did. He did have something to do with many of those different movies. He also directed Darkman 3.
Yes, he did direct Darkman. That's correct.
And he did Darkman. I don't think he. Yeah, he did. He was an executive producer of those, at least, but he directed. Oh God, he did a lot. Let's see. Uh,
And he likes to play his brother in a lot of stuff too.
he did the Evil Dead. Um, Evil Dead 2, Darkman. He did Drag Me to Hell later
Drag
on,
me to hell, yeah.
but he did
Yeah,
at
that's
least
when he returned to horror.
he did at least do all three of the Spider-Man, Spider-Man 2, and Spider-Man 3. So
Yeah.
that's at least good to know. So what did you think of Kirsten Dunst in the role of Mary Jane?
I thought she was pretty good. I mean, I would have liked to have seen Gwen Stacy before the third movie, or they could have did a better job with Betty Brant because that was Spider-Man's first love interest, but
Oh,
or Peter Parker's first love interest.
in the comic book series?
Yeah, and I believe Betty Brant was played by what is her name? Uh, Elizabeth Banks, and she had a very small role in those movies.
Okay. Yeah. From what I
But
remember,
Kirsten Dunst, I thought Kirsten Dunst was pretty good in those movies. She seemed to fit the role of Mary Jane pretty well.
I like to agree. I mean, when you're thinking of teenagers who, well, uh, the reason why I say teenagers is because when the film first starts, he's like still a teenager. He's in high school.
Yeah,
Um, and they go on a science
field
um,
trip. Yeah,
field trip, and there just so happens to be some kind of random spider inside the inside the science lab or whatever, and it bites him. And
yeah.
he's not exactly
There
well
was
liked at
there
school.
was there was no. He everybody hated him. Everybody hated him. Even the nerds hated him. It was pretty funny actually. But there was originally 15 genetically engineered spiders, and I guess one got out of the cage because they combined the DNA of like a bunch of different spiders with tensile strength and spider sense, and he got bit by the stray one when he while taking a picture of Mary Jane.
Now, what I was trying to figure out was it Oscorp that
Yep,
or
it was at Oscorp.
that's what I was trying to understand because I know that Peter Parker in this particular movie was actually very interested in his best friend's father's scientific work, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he was. He was a nerd, of course. He was always interested in the in Oscorp, the work of Oscorp,
Well,
because they did pretty much everything.
and this is
They were
about
like the umbrella corporation.
this is about when I started paying attention to James Franco as an actor. So
Yeah,
to me, what did you think of James Franco's character as Harry Osborn?
I did like what they did with him.
Okay,
They made him they did a pretty good job because he was always neglected by his father, from
yeah,
what I remember.
he had the arrogance that comes with rich kids too.
Yeah, yeah, that's it.
But
And for some reason, he was the only friend of Peter Parker.
yeah, which was kind of weird in a sense.
Yeah,
So ultimately, we realized that both of the boys have an infatuation with Mary Jane. What do you think about that
I
going on? Was that
I think the only reason that Harry Osborn went after Mary Jane is because he knew Peter liked her.
okay? So you don't think that he liked her at all in any way,
He
shape, or
wanted what he thought he couldn't have.
okay? I would
I
like to
think he
agree
wanted her as a
because
trophy. Something.
arm candy, arm
Just
candy
to prove that he was
is
better than Peter.
yeah, I can see that.
To, to
What
prove that he was better than his only friend.
now? When now one of the more interesting things is I liked the transformation of William Defoe into the Green Goblin. What did you think about that?
Yeah, I thought that
I mean, did
him
that
him
have the way that
slowly losing his mind. Well, not slowly, but slowly.
did it show the
Yeah,
way that
I thoroughly enjoyed it.
did it show the way the comic books showed it at one point in time? Do you think? Because the way I remember the
I
comic
think it was a
book
little bit different.
the way I remember the comic book is, I swear, I was reading some kind of comic where Peter Parker was, maybe this was a different comic, different scene, but he was at a circus and a spider bit him. I don't know whether that's the origins of the Spider-Man, but
Circus.
I swear to God,
Well,
there have been so
there's
many
always
different
well they have
there's always
so many different interpretations of the origin story through the different tellings of the comic. Like the Amazing Spider-Man was different than Spider-Man or the Spectacular Spider-Man or Spider-Man 2099 or
True, and you got to change it up a
all
little.
the Spider-Man.
You got to change it up
Yeah,
little bit. Ultimately, what did you think about the line that the uncle? Um, oh, that reminds me, Cliff Robertson, who played Who Wants to Be a was it Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? No, but Cliff Robertson played Ben Parker, and his line that he said in there was,
with
"Do
great
you remember?"
power comes great responsibility.
Correct. What do you think about those words?
Well, that's been a staple in the Spider-Man universe for since the beginning, pretty much.
With great power comes great responsibility. Now, what he did, what he did when his uncle died. Do you think? What did you think about that particular scene?
He saw him just oh, he kind of went on a
Yeah,
rampage and was looking for the killer.
when he was wanting to get some money for his new for his uniform and all that jazz, and he
Yeah,
let
yeah.
that
He
thief
wanted to
steal.
get money. He actually wanted to get a money for a car, an MG, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I believe it was a car, and
He wanted $3,000.
anything. It wasn't about anything with superhero stuff. It was just what
No,
any boy would want. So, well,
yeah,
at that point in time.
because they showed Flash Thompson picking up Mary Jane in his Plymouth Prowler. That should date that movie right there.
Yeah, that's
But
true.
um, and then he thought I need a car
Yeah,
because what
so
what kid living in Forest Hills doesn't need a car?
of course he goes down to the local wrestling rink and
Yeah,
offers himself up to the next the next.
Bonesaw.
Yeah, was that the name of the wrestler?
The name of the wrestler was Bonesaw, played by Macho Man, the late Macho Man Randy Savage.
And of course, the announcer called him the Spider-Man.
Called him the Amazing Spider-Man.
Okay, and he wasn't. He didn't like the name, did
No, his original thought was Spider Guy, I think it was.
he? Which
That's
was,
terrible.
yeah, it was terrible. So Peter Parker wasn't exactly really well known for his thought processes. I don't think.
Well,
And
not in naming.
not in naming, not in marketing, at least.
It should also be noted that the announcer was played by Bruce Campbell,
Really?
another person in another person in a lot of Sam Raimi stuff.
Yes. He just so happens to pop in every so often. It's like he's like his Goldfinger person. Um,
And he was in the other two movies as well. In the
yeah.
second movie, he played an usher at Mary Jane's show
Okay.
who wouldn't let Peter Parker in because he was slightly late. And the
Okay.
third one, he played a maitre d at a restaurant.
Now, if I remember correctly, the second movie was with the Octoman, and then
Octoman.
yeah,
Dr. Octopus, yeah.
Doctor Octopus. And then the
Otto
third movie was
Octavius.
with the Sandman, was it not?
Sandman, Venom, and the New Goblin. Not to be confused with the Hobgoblin or the Green Goblin, but the New Goblin, he had a surfboard.
That's
Or he had a
right. Because finally, the Harry had found Harry Osborn had found his father's suit at the end of the second one, wasn't it?
yeah, he's found his suit and the what do you call it? The enhancement, the what was it? The
The
enhancer, the green gas, the performance enhancer. I think it was.
yeah, the performance enhancer and the and all of his goblin bombs and shit like that.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
pumpkin bombs and all that. Yeah, all that jazz.
What did you think of the character of Doctor Octopus? Do you think the guy who played him played his part?
Alfred Alfred Molina played him.
And what did
This
you?
is. I actually thought he they made a pretty good character. It seemed
Okay, and
good character. Doctor, the doctor
remember
who
the
was gone crazy, and then eventually
new.
regrets what he did.
Well, and also as Peter grows up and is on his own, he is a photographer by trade, um,
Yes,
and he starts to
freelance.
yep, and he starts to work for Mr. Jameson. What do you think of J.K. Simmons as Jameson throughout this
I
particular?
thought he was actually. I thought he was like. That's probably my favorite role. Not my favorite role, but the most spot on role. That if they would have got anyone else, it wouldn't have worked. He was absolutely perfect for that role.
I think so too. It was just the perfect kind of asshole to put in charge of the whole thing to make him go back to you know what
Yeah.
and actually if if I remember correctly, Doctor Octopus, the guy who played him was
Alfred Molina.
um
I think
was
in
he
the
in?
original Indiana Jones movie. Alfred Molina. He was not in
No,
the first movie.
he was in the second movie. Okay.
They did hint towards Kirk Connors as the lizard in the first movie, but they never did anything with that. They showed him
No.
on TV on I think Peter was watching something or they showed him somewhere on TV and they never did anything with that.
Well, and the thing that you should also remember is that Spider-Man was originally written by Stan Lee, and Stan Lee seems to always show up in every single Marvel film.
That he did. That
uh,
he did.
do you remember what role he played in this particular
The
film?
first one.
Yeah.
In the first one, he was in the scene where the Green Goblin attacks the Unity Festival. He it's the first time he shows up, and
Yeah.
Spider-Man like, gets him out of the way. No, he doesn't get him out of the way. They show a short clip of him like looking up as something's falling.
Yes, they do. And do you remember where he was in the second one?
I can't, which is
What about the third one?
I think he has an actual speaking role in the third one.
A speaking
He
role in the
says something and
third
it
one?
says "nuff." Yeah, he says I forget what he says, and then he ends up by saying "nuff said," which is one of his trademark phrases,
Okay.
like Excelsior or "kill the wabbit." And then I think that was actually Elmer Fudd, the last one.
Yep. So the second one, Rosemary Harris is the woman who plays May Parker in um, these movies. What did you think about his aunt? Um,
I thought she was gorgeous. No, I thought she was pretty good. She seemed like a very Aunt May type. Uh,
you were probably more thinking about the one,
Marissa Tomei.
the one in the newer one. When you
Yeah,
said
that's
gorgeous.
Marissa. Yeah, she's Marissa. That's Marissa Tomei.
Yeah.
Still looking gorgeous, by the way.
Yeah, she is. I actually.
At like 150. I don't know how old she is.
Well,
She's got to be nearing 50.
they definitely have different. See, I remember Spider-Man to the point where I saw Spider-Man over and over for a time, and then Spider-Man 2. I remember like bits and scenes of the Doctor Octopus and where he was trying to make this machine, and he ended up going over and becoming this evil person because of the dark energy. I forget exactly where.
Yeah,
Was it dark energy that he created, or was it dark energy that came from outside?
it was. Hold on one second. I believe he was trying to create fusion, and it was unstable, and
Okay.
he was trying to stabilize it, and it like imploded on itself, and
Okay.
that's what happened. That's why the arms got fused to him, and then he tried to create a bigger one with what was it, tritium? I
Yeah.
think tritium was the name of the material.
Yeah. And then and then Spider-Man somehow um caught on because he was Peter Parker and he was very interested in his work, and um he ended up being witness to the fusion imploding,
Yeah,
and it kind of um destroyed his
he
body.
actually he befriended Dr. Otto Octavius before the experiment, and he was invited to the experiment. And what happened was he was controlling the arms with his mind, and
Okay.
the only thing that stopped the arms from getting to him was a chip at the very top of the arms. It was like an inhibitor chip, I think it
Okay.
was. And then that chip got destroyed during the explosion, and that's what made him go crazy because the arms were basically telling him what to do, kind of.
Okay. Yeah, and then of course, somehow he found out that Mary Jane was like his significant other or something like that, and she somehow got intermixed with the whole thing, right? Or oh, wait, no,
Yeah,
wasn't it Harry that was
he
out with her or something?
no. What happened? What happened is he wanted Peter Parker to get in contact with Spider-Man, so Spider-Man would meet him. So Doctor Octopus can grab Spider-Man, take him to Harry Osborn, so he can get the tritium.
There we go. That's it. And uh, I know that there was some insane chaos that was going on
Yeah,
there, and I think Mary Jane was put in jeopardy, and Spider-Man was there to save the day once again.
and he
um,
actually took the mask off to show. I think he took the mask off to show Doctor Octopus who he was.
yeah, he
It was
did.
something like that. And then a wall was going to come down on Mary Jane, and he had to save her, and he didn't have his mask on, which that's how she found out who he was.
Yeah, and then, or at least that's what we thought. But then in the third one, it's like she acted like she didn't know who he was. You know?
Well, she did technically know since the end of the first movie. She was pretty sure when he kissed her at the funeral at wait, yeah, at Norm Osborn's funeral.
So
Because
the third one, I don't remember as much. Well, it seemed
it
like
had the symbiote in it. It had the
well,
symbiote. It had the New Goblin. It had Sandman, which they tried to make Sandman into a likable
to me, this film very much predates the Batman Superman Batman versus Superman movie. And already Marvel is starting to get into that multi-character existence where they're trying to cram as many characters into a movie as possible.
Yeah, game. Excuse me.
uh,
Yeah, there's like 90 characters in Endgame.
I know, right? Um,
Yeah.
and which obviously, Lee, we're gonna get into discussions possibly down the road about those films. But
Yeah, the horrible attempt DC is making to get into the jump on the bandwagon. Yeah.
well, yeah. Although I think they came back with Aquaman. Aquaman, I
See, I
thought was
still haven't seen Aquaman. I haven't seen Shazam. I did thoroughly enjoy Wonder Woman. That was probably the best, and it
Shazam.
was strangely enough the only one directed by a woman.
I liked Shazam. I liked Aquaman. I'd like to see what they come up with for Aquaman 2. I know that the next one is slated to come out is the new Black.
Black
Um,
Adam?
no, not
No,
Black Adam.
that's
Um,
that's Marvel. Sorry,
it's the second movie to
he's Inhuman.
uh, uh, Black Panther. That one's
Black Panther.
oh yeah, Black Black Panther 2 is supposed to be eventually coming out. Eventually, I think that's the next Marvel Universe slated one. Did you see Captain Marvel?
I did actually. I actually. Where's my camera? I
Did
actually own the movie.
really? You actually own the movie? I like. Now I don't actually own the movie because I did. I like to find Disney movies where they're cheap.
I
uh,
have there's I have so much. I have so many problems with Disney, but that's something else entirely. I
that's a
honestly think Disney's trying to take over the world, but that's a whole other thing.
yeah. I agree with that sentiment, but that can be another conversation for another time.
Yeah.
Um, but in any case, getting back to the third Spider-Man before we get into the Amazing Spider-Man movies, which I don't remember all too very much. For some reason, those are to me forgettable movies.
I actually enjoyed those movies.
I did enjoy them at the time. Let me see who directed those. Let me go because we did touch on some of the Spider-Man's what we remembered of the Spider-Man 1, 2, and 3. So the next two movies in the Spider-Man franchise um,
All right.
were the
Amazing Spider-Man.
Spider-Man and the Amazing Spider-Man 2. The Amazing Spider-Man came out in 2012. It was directed by Mark Webb, by writers
Which is kind
Dan
of fitting.
Alvin Sargent, and evidently it went through several rewrites because we've got Steve Kloves, and it's based on Stan Lee and Steve Ditko
Yeah,
stuff.
Steve Ditko did the artwork.
Yep. And the character of Spider-Man and Peter Parker were played by Andrew Garfield.
Andrew Garfield.
What did you think of Andrew Garfield's character?
I actually thought he played a pretty decent modern age telling of Peter Parker.
Okay.
He was a nerd. He was bullied a lot, and for some reason he was a skateboarder.
And let's see. Let me go back to the original premise here. After Peter Parker is bitten by a genetically altered spider, he gains newfound spider-like powers and ventures out to save the city from the machinations of a mysterious reptilian foe. Now, here, they didn't go the Mary Jane route, did they?
No, they went with Gwen Stacy, and as soon as I saw that the female lead in the role or the female role was blonde, I knew it was Gwen Stacy, and I knew that movie was going to end terribly. At least I thought it was going to drag out to 3 movies, but they killed her in the second movie. She
Well,
was originally killed by Green Goblin. Well, technically, she was originally killed by Peter Parker slash Spider-Man.
okay.
In the original comics, she was kidnapped by Green Goblin and tossed off. I want to say the Brooklyn Bridge. It was one of the bridges. There's so many bridges in that area. Anyway, he uses his web to catch her. Catches her by the ankle, and she doesn't hit the ground or anything. But when he catches her, she stops, and her neck whips back, and she snaps her neck.
Okay,
That's how she originally died.
interesting. Uh, now,
Yeah.
what did you think of Emma Stone's role here in as Gwen Stacy?
I'm personally a fan of Emma Stone. I think she's pretty attractive. I was
Okay,
trying not to sound like a creep, but
that's
I like Emma Stone. She's a good actress,
yeah, and
and I liked her in this movie too.
she was, let's see if the first time I saw
She's
her
gay.
in Ghost of Girlfriend's Past, which is kind of a Scrooge kind of a story. But
Was that
she,
with Matthew McConaughey?
yeah, that was with Matthew
All
McConaughey.
right, all right. I can't stand Matthew McConaughey.
I liked him in the Dragon movie.
Dragon movie.
Trying to think, Reign of Fire.
Oh yeah. Right. He was in Rain of Fire.
Yeah, he was the
Was he?
bald-headed guy.
I do not remember that at all.
But you do remember the bald-headed guy with the axe.
Not really at all.
Yeah,
I barely remember that movie.
battle
I
axe.
remember there being fire
Uh,
and dragons.
well, there was a big jump that this guy had to do with a battle axe to kill a dragon, and he was like total Viking. It was not the normal Matthew McConaughey Magic Mike,
McGonagall.
you know. But I believe Emma Stone played in Zombieland.
She
Yeah, he was.
played Easy A.
Yeah, and
She was
Marmaduke.
never saw Marmaduke. I hate the comic books or the comics.
Well, the movie wasn't too bad. Then she was in Gangster Squad.
Another movie I haven't seen.
That was a good movie. You should download that sometime. Then she voiced someone in The Croods.
Don't see too many animated movies. Although being on the Spider-Man topic, I did get Into the Spider-Verse yesterday.
Oh, I haven't seen that yet, but I do have a copy of it somewhere, digitally.
Yeah, me
Don't
too.
I got it.
I still haven't watched it either.
Neither have I. But she was also later on after these movies. She was in Magic in the Moonlight, Birdman, which I own, but I still haven't seen. The Interview.
I've seen a lot of good things about Birdman. I haven't watched it yet.
La La Land.
La La Land, yeah, she was it?
She's also in the new Zombieland Double Tap still. Um, and I guess she's reprising her role as Eep in the voice of someone in the Croods too. Which oh wait, she's playing Cruella DeVille in 2021. So that's as far as her roles go. But damn, see, I don't remember much of these films. The Martin Sheen played Uncle Ben in here. What do you think of those characters? See, I wasn't sure what to think of these two films because I was so used to the other three. You know, when these came out. So
Yeah, yeah.
I liked.
I originally saw the first Amazing Spider-Man on bootleg,
Okay,
and
bootleg or a good bootleg.
it was it was bootleg.
Well,
It was very choppy when I
I
saw it
mean,
the first time.
a bad bootleg is where people are getting up and you can see people in the theater going across the screen. There's all kinds of noise. It's fuzzy.
No, it wasn't a cam video. I think it was a web rip, but the file was condensed, so it the footage would like speed up and then slow down and then speed up.
Okay, gotcha. In any case, Sally Field was Aunt May in here. Good God,
Yeah,
they
she
couldn't
was.
they couldn't come up with anyone else.
They couldn't find anyone but Gidget. No.
Hey, come on now. She wasn't too bad in Mrs. Doubtfire. Uh,
No, she
but
she seemed to fit that role.
did she fit the role of Aunt May? Do you think?
She was. I would say yes, and
Okay.
it also should not be. Oh, who was in it? What is the name of that actor? He played a
Well,
Ben
Dennis
Parker in that movie,
Martin Sheen played Uncle Ben.
and I thought that was pretty good.
See, I'm not remembering much of the movie as we're going across here. C. Thomas Howell uh, was in here, evidently as
Who?
Jack's father. Jack's father, whoever Jack was.
Thomas who?
C. Thomas Howell.
Jack's father. I can't remember for the life of me. Remember who Jack was?
C. Thomas Howell was Tyler in E.T. He was Jim Halsey in The Hitcher. He was Pony Boy Curtis in The Outsiders. Uh,
None of those at all help me.
You've never seen The Outsiders?
I've seen The Outsiders, but I don't remember anyone who played in it.
Okay.
Except, was it Lou Diamond Phillips in that movie?
The Outsiders?
Yeah. I might be thinking of something else.
Trying to think. Patrick Swayze played in it. So did well, that one was directed by Francis Ford Coppola. Matt Dillon played in that one.
Dillon, yeah.
Ralph Macchio,
Ralph Macchio.
the Karate Kid.
Karate Kid himself, yes, Ralph Macchio.
Rob Lowe, he played Soda Pop Curtis in there. Emilia Estevez played Two-Bit Matthews. Tom Cruise was in here.
Yeah, I'm thinking of something completely different, I think. Emilio Estevez. Didn't want to change his name machine.
Going
Didn't.
to the Amazing Spider-Man 2. What do you remember of that film?
I remember thinking, because I knew there was only two at that point.
Well,
I
yeah,
remember cringing
because
like half the movie, knowing
you know what
that
happened,
she was going to die.
You know what happened, right? Why there wasn't a 3?
Sony.
No. In fact, Andrew Garfield was supposed to appear at some celebrity parties, and he appeared at them drunk. And the director told.
Oh, that's nice.
He told him quite frankly, if you're not going to show up sober, then get the fuck out. I don't want you. I don't want you.
Ruining the image of Peter Parker.
I don't want to deal with you.
Yeah.
and he had the teenage angst or whatnot. So I think he just pissed off the director in some way, shape, or form, and it was public.
Oh,
So
that's nice. I
don't
think
know.
I
I think it was
was
teenage, but
oh yeah. I was definitely an FX
going
kid at that time.
into going into the Spider-Man, the newer one. Let's see,
Homecoming
Spider
or Far From Home. It was,
Homecoming. Let's talk about Homecoming.
it was
Direct.
Homecoming and
That one was directed by John Watts, the first one, Homecoming. And let me read the. Okay, so Peter Parker balances his life as an ordinary high school student in Queens with his superhero alter ego, Spider-Man, and finds himself on the trail of a new menace prowling the skies of New York City. Um, and the writers of this one, it looks like there are a lot of writers here. Might have had quite a few screen writings here. Um, Jonathan Goldstein, John Francis Daly, John Watts,
a lot of Johns.
Christopher Ford, Chris McKenna, Eric Summers, Jonathan Goldstein again. Yeah.
I thought you were saying Jonathan Winters for a second. That would have been a totally different movie.
Was created by Joe Simon and Jack Kirby. So the comic book wise.
This interpretation of Spider-Man, yes.
So we have Tom Holland, who balances his ordinary high school student in Queens with his superhero alter ego Spider-Man and finds him on the trail of a new menace prowling the skies of New York City. So we have a very young Peter Parker, who plays opposite Michael Keaton.
Yes.
Who plays Adrian Toomes and Vulture. And of course, we got Robert Downey Jr. playing Tony Stark, also known as Iron Man. And
Marissa Tomei.
What do you think of Tom Holland? What do you think of
Tom Holland?
Peter Parker and Tony Stark's relationship?
I thought it was an interesting way to tie in Spider-Man to the MCU, which was desperately needed, I think. Because I know a lot of people wanted to see Spider-Man in the end.
Well, the Marvel
whole thing with Sony and Disney.
The Marvel universe has been interesting to follow, to say the least. I mean, it's basically dominated Hollywood right now. You know what I mean? I mean, what people want to go see. I want to go see Spider-Man. Oh, I want to go see. I want to go see Marvel Endgame. You know, when they put them on.
I do not have audio. I can't hear you.
Oh, let's see. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
All by myself again.
Can you hear me now?
All by myself. Oh, there it is.
Can you hear me now?
I cannot. No, I can hear you again.
Okay, you can hear me again. You can hear me again.
Yeah.
You can hear me again. Okay, good. We're gonna have that from time to time, but in any case, I remember this one slightly. I remember the awkwardness. I didn't remember Donald Glover being in it.
He was in about 2 scenes. He played a thug.
Yeah,
he wasn't actually a terribly bad guy.
Okay. Of course,
but,
I remember the Flash.
bad guy anyway.
I remember the Flash
thought that Tom Holland played a pretty good Peter Parker.
So do I. I mean, he played that
The Flash.
teenager once again, and he what was the
Yeah.
people that he went up against? So Marissa Tomei as plays May Parker. We've got
Yes.
we've got John Favreau playing Happy Hogan. Uh,
Happy. Yeah.
Gwyneth Paltrow plays Pepper Potts.
She did show up in that movie, I believe. Yeah.
I
Yeah,
guess
she did.
so. See, who was the bad guy in
The
this?
Scorpion was in
In
there.
this?
It was the Vulture. He was using
Okay.
tech he was originally like what's the word for it?
Okay.
He was picking up tech from the incident that happened in the first Avengers movie in 2012. He wasn't picking it up, he was cleaning up.
Okay.
And that's where he got his tech from to make the wings and he also made the shocker hands
Okay.
from the shocker in there,
Okay.
but not in a Scorpion uniform. Who else was in there?
Okay.
Uh, I can't think of any other
Yeah.
bad guys. I know there's at least one there anyway.
Well,
But
in
I
any
like
case,
I like Tom Holland.
I like his fat friend for some reason. I like his role. You always got to have that fat friend, you know. It wasn't he. He.
That's why I keep you around.
I think wasn't it Ned?
Yeah, I think
Uh,
so. I think
yeah.
that's why I keep you around too. You always gotta have that fat friend.
And his love interest is Liz, I think.
Played by Zendaya.
Or wait,
No,
no,
no, his interest was not.
Michelle.
No,
Michelle was played
yeah,
by.
no, yeah. Michelle was played by Zendaya, but Liz was also Liz was all the one he actually was in love with. In the comics, he was in love with her while dating Betty Brant,
Okay. Well, Zendaya was in a
who
decent.
was the Daily Bugle.
She was a secretary at the Daily Planet.
Oh no, um, Betty Brant was a secretary at the Daily Bugle. Is
Okay.
what I meant.
Okay. I can see that.
But she's not in this movie at all. She was in
No.
the first. She was in the first three with Tobey Maguire. She had very small roles, and the actress who played her was Elizabeth Banks,
Now,
who went on to do a bunch of Judd Apatow movies.
what did you think of Spider-Man's roles in the Avenger movies?
I when I first saw the scene in Captain America: Civil War, I thought it was pretty good. He just came out of nowhere and stole Captain America's shield.
Well, and the Marvel Universe's use of the Flash in this first Spider-Man adaptation with Tom Holland. What did you think of the Flash's role?
The Flash.
Yeah, the Flash showed up. It was played by Tony Revolori, um, a very young Flash, I think.
That's two different universes, man.
Yeah, I know, but shit. Flash showed up. That's what it says.
I don't remember that at all.
Well, it
It
says
may have been quick.
I don't think so. Is it? Maybe it's
Flash is definitely DC.
maybe it's one of those crossover things. I don't know.
I didn't. I do not remember that at all.
Neither do I. But moving on to Far From Home. So evidently this this the Far From Home movie. Let's see.
which I think was terribly named.
From Home. What did you want it
It's,
to be called?
the boy who was not Iron Man. I mean, how many times did they say that you'll never be Iron Man? You're not Iron Man. They
Well,
kept throwing Iron Man in his face.
at least they stuck with
Like,
the same director with John Watts.
I thought it was a decent movie. The only thing that irritated me about it was the fact that they tried to hide the fact that Mysterio was a bad guy, but he was one of the Sinister Six. You know he's going to be a bad guy.
Well, what irritates me about the movie is that Jake Gyllenhaal, he played Quentin Beck Mysterio. Well, it wasn't too long ago where I saw him in Prince of Persia, and it wasn't too long before that I remember him
Donnie
in
Darko.
that Rabbit movie.
Yeah, Donnie Darko.
Yeah, Darnie Darko. To me, I just couldn't fully see him as Mysterio. I could see him as Mysterio when he was masked, but when he was
When
unmasked,
you didn't technically see him.
I I could still somewhat see him, you know. So,
Yeah.
but
I like the character of Mysterio, the effects guy, special effects guy who was just he was
so
fired from his job and just
in this particular
got
film,
pissed off. But
Zendaya is no longer Michelle; it is MJ.
no, at the end of Homecoming, at the end of Home, it's revealed that her name is MJ, which I thought was a little weird. But
Yeah,
I actually
I thought.
liked her in this movie. She's kind of a downer. Her
Yeah,
personality is kind of.
I like the
But I thought
fact
it was
you didn't get exactly what she was going about until like the very end of the film. You know, I like that they kept somewhat of a mystery about what she that she really liked, that she really liked Spider-Man, and that she was
Peter
following
Parker.
him,
Yeah,
and then all of a sudden when she realized that he was Spider-Man, he still tried to lie.
yeah, yeah. I'm not Spider-Man. Yeah, that was actually a pretty funny scene when they're on the bridge.
Well, and
Yeah, that was actually
when
pretty
they
funny.
realized that Mysterio, all of Mysterio,
Yeah,
those little scenarios were staged.
using his little his drones. No, it wasn't the drones. Yeah, it was the drones.
What do you think about the little goo goo eyes that Happy Hogan and May Parker are sending each other?
Yeah, I thought it was kind of funny actually. There's a lot of humor in that movie, in those movies.
Well, yeah, May Parker, his aunt, isn't exactly married, is she? In this
No,
universe,
not anymore.
not
But
any.
it should also be noted that pretty much every adult male was hitting on May Parker.
True. Very true. Um, which is makes it a little
Tony
different.
Stark did.
Oh yeah,
Tony
that's right.
Stark did. The guy at the restaurant did. Gave her free food. Um, the guy at the store asked Peter Parker how's that hot aunt of yours doing? So
Uh,
many people perving on his aunt. That was pretty funny.
yeah, which
But
puts her
I
character in a different role, doesn't it, from the comic book?
yeah, yeah, it does. They for some reason they made her hot, which I don't disagree with. She
I don't
needed a
disagree with.
slight revision.
I think that she deserves a love life herself too. I mean,
Oh,
in the modern world, in the modern life. So, what did you think about the effects and the music um, overall in all of these adaptations that we've talked about? Yes.
What did you say?
I said, what did you think about the music
Oh,
behind many of these adaptations that we've talked about? And what did you think
oh.
about the effects that were involved in?
Well, obviously the effects are gonna get better with time, but I did like the look of the lizard in Amazing Spider-Man, the first one, the first Amazing Spider-Man. I
Okay.
thought that was pretty well done. I did enjoy the effects of Electro, and which was Jamie Foxx in the second movie, second Amazing Spider-Man. There's a lot of scenes in the first Spider-Man with Tobey Maguire where you can see it's clearly CGI.
Yeah, I could see that it was just CGI, but I accepted it at the time.
Yeah,
I accepted the CGI because it looked pretty cool for me to see him swinging around on the shit, you know.
yeah. It
And
wasn't nearly as bad as the CGI in Matrix Reloaded, but
yeah,
which was just
Matrix Reloaded,
terrible.
Matrix Revolutions, they didn't even try. But
No, they didn't. They just wanted to. Oh, also, Matrix 4 was confirmed.
really,
Yeah,
Matrix 4 was confirmed.
yeah.
When is that supposed to happen?
I haven't, but they're getting people for it. And
Should be interesting.
there was some actor that I completely disagreed with. I can't remember who it was. It's
2022.
completely ridiculous.
2022.
2022. Good God.
And Keanu Reeves is in it.
There was another actor who was going to be in it.
Carrie Ann Moss.
Bill Cosby.
Carrie Ann Moss.
Well, how is Keanu Reeves going to be in it?
He
I
was
don't
Neo.
understand that.
He was Neo. He was Neo. Oh, guess
What
who else is supposedly in it?
was that?
Neil Patrick Harris.
Neil Patrick Harris. That's the one I was thinking of.
Jada
I couldn't remember who it was.
Pinkett Smith.
Doogie Howser.
Yeah.
No Lawrence Fishburne?
That's what I was thinking. Hey, this has actually been a fun discussion, actually, where we've gone
Eh,
through each of the different, and to me, my thing is, I guess I have to go back and rewatch the Amazing Spider-Man and the Amazing Spider-Man 2 again, and just to refresh my memory on those, because at the time, like I said, my thoughts on them when they came out, I was still trying to get over the first three.
Get over him.
Well, get over them, yeah, because they were cool,
Yeah.
you know, and now I
Yeah.
have to accept this new guy. And then when and then when and then when two came out, and then the shit happened in the news that Andy Garfield. And when I was just starting to get into this new Spider-Man, then the director said, "I'm not working with this new actor again," and completely killed the third installment. I was like, "You fucker! You should have just gone with the kid, dealt with him." And then moved on from the series. You don't have to stay with the series, you know. At least finish it, you know.
Yeah. It would have been interesting to see the aftermath of the death of Gwen Stacy.
Yeah, it would have.
Because the whole death of Gwen Stacy in the comics is what made him skittish about getting into relationships. It just had a huge impact on his life as Peter Parker and Spider-Man.
I agree. Um, I agree. I mean, over time, Spider-Man has metamorphed into something else, and I would like to see where this new Spider-Man man is taken. If they take his role any further, which supposedly he was he's handed the role of Iron Man to whom again in the movie?
I guess you can say that he's trying to fill his shoes, but he's got to deal with the fact that there's no way he can possibly fill his shoes.
No, and I think the whole reason of the movie was to, in fact, show him that he's not entirely ready for the role of Iron Man yet.
Or
So
the responsibility of it.
part of
Yeah.
responsibility, because with great power comes great responsibility.
I like how that just like Spider-Man, it always comes back to that. And we started with that. With great power comes great responsibility.
Yes, we
It
did.
seems like you know what you're doing.
I do know what I'm doing. So, on that note,
I
did
do
you
want to say
else that you wanted to say about this film series?
I actually wanted to say something about Marvel in general.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
Um, it's terrible. No, I always was drawn to Marvel characters because all of them somehow had a flaw, like or character defect. Like Spider-Man had this huge responsibility with all this power, but yet he was just a kid from Queens who was still just a kid and couldn't really handle it. It was kind of just
Well,
winging it most of the time.
and in the cartoons, he wasn't exactly a kid; he was already an adult, um,
Yeah,
per se. So when it comes to the movies, they're showing him to go through adolescence in a sense.
yeah.
So watching him grow up, watching him change, watching some of the stories change, some of the characters, the development along the way. Do you think that it's developed to a sense where it actually can be built upon?
That it can be built upon.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of different directions they can go. I mean, with him growing up and he could pretty much they can pretty much or they should be able to show him developing as a person and maybe even eventually filling in the shoes of Tony Stark. But according to what I've read and seen on YouTube, with the whole Sony thing, it's we're not going to get another Spider-Man movie till like 2024, which is kind of depressing.
Probably, more or less, because they still got a few other stories to tell, like with probably Aquaman's got to come out, and I heard that they're doing like a Submarine Man
Aquaman.
one,
You're thinking of the Submariner.
Submariner.
Yeah,
Yeah, I thought I
the one
heard
that was.
in that direction, and I know that they still have to continue the Avengers story,
Yeah, with
unless you,
Falcon is. Oh, we didn't touch on the ending scene of um Far From Home at all.
yeah. What did you think about the ending scene of that?
That
What?
pretty much summed it up right there. I, I mean, spoiler alert if anyone didn't see the movie. Although I don't know why you'd be watching it if you didn't see the movie. But it was revealed that Spider-Man is Peter Parker in Times Square on the big screen, and that was brought to you by the Daily Bugle. It was a Daily Bugle exclusive, which J.K. Simmons revised his role as J. Jonah Jameson, which I thought was pretty awesome.
I thought that actually
I
was
thought,
a pretty good idea.
yeah. I mean, who else would fit that role, really?
I know, right? I mean, you couldn't exactly
Patrick
put
Stewart.
anyone else in that role. I mean, seriously, people,
Yeah.
just go out and watch these movies if you have not. Many of these are out there for you to attain and watch, and there are different adaptations all around. So, whichever one actually is your favorite, please let us know in the comments below. And one of my friends, Horror Devil, said, "Hey, dudes, the first Spider-Man is the best." Which
Oh God.
first Spider-Man? But in any case, um, hopefully you enjoy you hopefully you've enjoyed our conversation over this. I think we enjoyed our conversation. What about you?
Um, I didn't enjoy it at all. I always
Well,
enjoy
you
talking,
you fucking
and
suck, dude.
I didn't use
That-
I didn't use Wikipedia for any of my knowledge.
I used it as a baseline,
That's all in
as
my head.
a back, and I actually didn't even look at it.
I know.
I looked at the NDP page more or less, just for references.
Yeah,
Besides, we kind of did this
yeah.
on the spry.
All of my references are up here. Yeah,
Yeah. Okay. Well, in any case,
that is
ladies and
very
gentlemen,
true.
thank you for listening. Hopefully, you enjoyed our discussion, and we present
Also,
this full discussion on
Spider-Man Japanese animation had
ah,
nothing to do with the series.
we did not do the Japanese
He
version of
had
Spider.
he had Mac.
Who did
Just all.
what?
Huh?
Alrighty,
The
it just
Japan live action show had Mac.
enjoy
Yeah, it
list,
was awful.
enjoy listening, and have a great
Sorry.
evening. Have a great evening, everyone, and hopefully you enjoyed our discussion. Thank you so much. Alrighty.